Hello and welcome. I'm Bimbo Luyede. Tonight, United Nations delegation visits President-elect Buhari, asks him to sustain gains of the war against insurgency. The National Association of Nigerian Students in Abuja protest incessant attacks and killings of Nigerians and other foreign nationals in South Africa. APC candidates in the Rivers State House of Assembly polls call for suspension of rerun elections, insist there is a suit in court challenging the process. Fugitive Iraqi militant leader and former Saddam Hussein deputy Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri killed in fighting north of Baghdad.
And on Business News tonight, Ogun State government plans to partner with foreign investors in a bid to consolidate on infrastructure development in the state.
While on sports news, Stephen Keshi takes responsibility for the Super Eagles' failure to qualify for the 2015 African Cup of Nations, confirms readiness to make amends.
The United Nations has asked Nigeria's President-elect, General Muhammadu Buhari, to sustain the gains recorded in the fight against the Boko Haram insurgency. This emerged after a closed-door meeting between General Buhari and the UN representative for West Africa, Mohammed Ibn Chambers, in Kaduna. After the meeting, Mr. Ibn Chambers told journalists that sustaining the victory recorded over the insurgents in the last 6 weeks will facilitate rehabilitation of affected persons and communities. The UN representative also conveyed Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's commendation of President Goodluck Jonathan's exemplary leadership in the conduct of the general elections. Mr. Ibn Chambers also spoke on the attacks against Nigerians and other Africans in South Africa.
Nigeria's just concluded general elections caught international attention, but this time for the right reasons. The United Nations didn't waste time in making contact with the leadership the much commended polls produced. A UN delegation meets with the President-elect, General Muhammadu Buhari, and commends both him and President Jonathan for the successful conduct of the polls.
To the UN that will have a strong partner in you, sir, and in Nigeria as we face the challenges going. And even the initial statements from you, Mr. President, from the team, regarding your policies, be it on the fight for security in Nigeria and the region, the fight against corruption, and the economy, have all been very reassuring. Certainly, they have been received very well in New York, and even our colleagues who are now in Washington attending the World Bank IMF meetings have told us that the initial indications about the policies, the major policy strands that your government will be taking are reverberating very well and have been very well received in Washington during this current IMF World Bank meeting. So on the part of the UN, we look forward certainly to working very closely with you, and Mr. King has insisted that we let you appreciate that he stands ready to continue the friendship that he's already building with you.
On the xenophobic attacks on Nigerians and other Africans in South Africa, the UN representative for West Africa, Mohammed Ibn Chambers, appeals to South Africans to be more accommodating.
We welcome the condemnations expressed by the President of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, and other leaders, and we hope that more and more we can see the leaders of South Africa coming out to roundly condemn these attacks against African nationals. We are one people, and we expect that South Africans will understand that all Africans should be welcome there, just as other African countries open their doors to our South African brothers and sisters to come and live and invest and work with us.
The United Nations visit to Nigeria represents the international community's support for the incoming Buhari administration and provides an assurance that Nigeria's security concerns will not be ignored.
Nigeria's President-elect, Muhammadu Buhari, is among those listed by Time magazine as the 100 most influential people in the world. General Buhari became the first Nigerian politician to defeat an incumbent president. Expectations are high that the new president will deal with the issues of Boko Haram and corruption. Also listed is former Minister of Education and convener Bring Back Our Girls, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. Dr. Ezekwesili has been one of the key Africans to hold a top position in the World Bank. The South African Commissioner to Nigeria, Mr. Lulu Minguni, says President Jacob Zuma has deployed military personnel to areas affected by xenophobia. While expressing his country's continued indebtedness to Nigeria for the latter's support during the apartheid regime, Mr. Minguni says the South African government has also warned all traditional rulers to be mindful of their utterances.
Our government has so far deployed the police to try and quell the situation and normalize the living conditions of the people. And of course it has also dispersed ministers of the police service, safety and security, the minister of state security, and others that are relevant that can assist in containing the situation. We are also appealing to ministers of religion, traditional leaders, and community leaders also to assist in talking to the people and making sure that the situation is normalized. President Jacob Zuma is talking to all leaders, that is now our royal highnesses, our religious leaders, our community leaders, to try and assist in containing the situation, and that whenever we engage in utterances, we are sensitive to the nature of the situation in the country, so that then whatever we do comes to complement the efforts of our president to bring the situation to normality. I want to indicate that we really appreciate the role played by Nigerians during our struggle against apartheid and colonialism. And our foreign relations are hinged on those time-tested relations. But I want to indicate that it is not our government policy to say that now Nigerians or any people from other countries should be attacked. That is why our president has said that now there is no justification, even poverty itself cannot justify an attack of other people by South Africans, and that this case must be stopped immediately.
Trouble seems to be brewing in Oyo State as former Oyo State Governor Rashidi Ladoja threatens reprisal attacks if members of the APC continue to harass his people. But Governor Abiola Ajimobi warned that his government will not sit and watch any group visit violence on the state under any guise. Oyo State is one of the states listed by the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, with high potential for post-election violence.
The controversy brewing from the results of the April 11 elections in Oyo State is not showing any sign of abating, especially from the Accord Party, who are heading for the courts to contest the results, while Governor Abiola Ajimobi and all the 33 elected candidates of the APC were celebrating with their supporters. The Accord Party candidate, former Governor Rashid Ladoja, says he's gathering evidence to bring him back to the government house in the next 3 months as he heads for the electoral tribunal. He also accused APC members of harassment and warned Governor Ajimobi to call his members to order or his people will fight back.
We will go to court because we have evidence. And if Ajimobi's supporters continue to provoke us, we will react.
Responding, Governor Ajimobi says no such reprisal attacks will be allowed.
We don't want violence here, and anyone who is so desperate that even when defeated is crying all over that he's going to court, he's going to fight, you should follow due process. It's not too big to obey the law, and I guarantee you, should anybody lead any group to restore to violence, the law will take its full weight on them.
The other governorship candidates have expressed their readiness to work with Governor Ajimobi to move Oyo State forward.
In part 2, after the break, INEC announces date for the House of Assembly elections in Rivers State, but APC is threatening to boycott the exercise. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.